Hi, welcome to day 2 of our Reset Refocus journey. Yesterday, we learned all about emotional management and identified the area that we really want to grow in, what area we need to grow in. Today is going to be all about the beautiful blend of home and work life. More and more people are finding themselves working from home or working out of the home and also managing your home. And there's different seasons where you're doing one or the other or both, one more than the other. And I really want to talk about, I love this topic because I think you can do both really well and really meaningful and be fulfilled in both work and home. But it does take a lot of intention and some planning. So today's going to be really brief. I just have 3 things I want to share with you today. Let me share my screen. So let's start with just the first thing I want to share. And that is, sorry guys. The first thing I wanted to say was that you have been given work to do. Whether you see your role at home as, I don't know if you're a mother or single or an empty nester, everyone is part of some kind of home system or family system. So wherever you are in that, I want you to see that role as a work that you have been given to do. In our work life, it's easy to see that you've been given work to do and you have work to do. But at home, it is a gift that's been given to you and you have been given a work to do. And oftentimes our work at home, a lot of times at least myself, I find myself just flying by the seat of my pants and thinking like, I don't need a plan. I'll just like go with the flow, or I don't want a plan. I just want to be like really have an organic home life. But it's a work that I've been given and it's a responsibility. And so flying by the seat of my pants is not a very responsible way to manage my calling and to manage my work that I've been given. If you are a mom, I wanted to show you guys this quote is one of my affirmations. This literal same image is in my notes app on my phone, and it's an affirmation I read every day. And it says the job, and you can insert anything, but in this example, it's motherhood. The job of motherhood has been given to me to do. Therefore, it is a gift. Therefore, it's a privilege. It's an offering I may make to God. Therefore, it is to be done gladly if it is to be done for him. Here, not somewhere else, I may learn God's way. In this job, not in some other, God looks for faithfulness. So do you see the value of the gifts you've been given and the work that you've been given, both at home and in your work? In the job that you have right now, that also is a gift or a talent that you have. If you're noticing a strength of yours that you want to use as a business or part of your role at a job that you're employed at, the gifts and the talents that you uniquely have, they are tied to responsibility too. And do you see them as a gift? And do you see value in them? If you had to track growth in your home like you do in your business, what would your metrics be? What would merit a good job for you? I know not everyone shares the same faith I do, but I'm going to read a quick passage or little pieces of one to you from the Bible. And there's so much life principles. If you don't have the same faith I do, there are so much life principles in here. But if you do, we can't ignore the message in this parable of the talents. And I love that it says talents, even though I know it's talking about money. But the fact that it says talents too can be applied. You can think of this as the literal talents and gifts. And also, obviously, it applied, the original message is money. The parable of the talents starts with a master leaving money to 3 different servants in 3 different amounts, a lot, a medium amount, and a little bit, basically. And reading it, I noticed that it says each one, they either like doubled what they were left or one of them buried it in the ground. But it says, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And I thought that was interesting. It's a long time. And some days it just doesn't feel that special. But after a long time, our master is going to ask, what did we do with the gifts and the talents and the things that we're responsible for? What did we do with them? Did we see them as a gift worth investing in? Did you invest in those talents and those gifts and the things that you've been given? Did you invest in your family? Did you invest in your strengths? And he says, you've been faithful when he comes back to the ones that did invest in the money and made it grow. He said, you've been faithful over a little, and so I'm going to set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And I think it's interesting, you've been faithful over a little, because a lot of times that's what we feel like. It starts off feeling like, this is not important. I'm not going to invest in this. Like, let's say your strength is helping people organize their home. That might not seem important to you, but that is a strength and a gift that you've been given. And if you're faithful with that little thing, God gives you more. I think that's interesting that our world works that way. When you're faithful with a little, that's when you get more, and that it's tied to joy. And one more thing to share from this passage is the one that they buried the talent in the ground and returned it exactly as it was given. So it wasn't wasted away. It was just, here's it back. He said, I was afraid, and that's why I went and hid it. We all face fears. Like, there's no one here watching this, and myself included, that does not have fears, especially related to relationships and friendships and talents, growing a business. There's all fear in there, but that cannot be the reason to not develop your gifts and to not value the gifts that you've been given. So I want you to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a little, and here is more. So do you see the value in the gifts that you've been given? And what would it look like to invest in them? What are those metrics? What would cause that well done, good and faithful servant? It does not mean that life is easy, though. But I just want you to see the value in the work that you have to do. And if you value it, I would assume that you're planning for it too. Obviously, I value planning because that's my business, is a paper planner. And I think that what's important to you and what's a priority, you plan for it and you make time for it. Okay, the number 2 thing I wanted to share with you is that slow and steady wins the race. And this is not your typical business advice or really home advice, but slow and steady wins the race. You build a business and a home that can withstand life's challenges by being steady and being slow. It's so anti-cultural when it's like fast, easy, efficient, like all these things that are messages that we hear all the time. But what about slow and steady? I know it's not very smooth and cool, but there's wisdom in going slow and steady. Here's just a couple points on the side here. I heard one time many years ago, I heard this on a podcast. A man once said that his best business success was found in the story of the tortoise and the hare. And he said that every single time he read that book, the turtle always won. Over and over again, he won every time. And that was what he reminded himself in his business. It was just to keep going one foot in front of the other, one step at a time. And I want to encourage you in your home too, and in your work, just go one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, because that consistency will build growth, and that consistency builds momentum. But it's in the day-to-day, step by step by step, that you build a strong foundation and that you build a home life that can withstand storms and challenges. Also, the slow and steady method will also protect you from the temptation to just throw in the towel and quit. Because when you have quick success or quick growth, or then when you don't, it's like a 180, and it's really tempting to just like, this is not working, I'm done, and quit. I often struggle with all or nothing thinking. This is something I've been aware of for a long time. I'm either all in, or if it's not going well, I'm out. I'm just all out. I cannot It is really challenging for me to handle the thought of like trying and working on something and it not working. So I just don't even try. That is not correct thinking. Do not think like that. But if you also struggle with that thinking, the slow and steady just keeps you going one day at a time, which protects you from the temptation to quit. It also helps you survive that season in the middle. Some people call it the messy middle. That time when nobody's watching you, nobody's clapping for you, no awards are being won. Hello, motherhood. Those are the times where character is being built, and slow and steady, it's gonna win you the race. How many times have you had amazing conversations with your kids? You've seen tons of growth in them, but it's one conversation for like a million mundane conversations and the million like little disciplines and corrections. So if you are living for just like those mountaintop moments, just focus on the slow and steady, one step at a time. It also challenges you to set aside expectations. This is a huge one, especially for women. We have so many expectations on ourselves, on other people, on where we should be in our life by now, on what we should have achieved by now, on what our kids should be doing, on what we should be involved in, and how we should be appearing, and what we should be looking like. We have so many expectations. But if you can just focus on just where you are here today and where your next step is, and be willing to just put in the slow and the steady work, you start seeing progress and you start seeing where you have been. And instead of thinking where you should be, where you think you should be, it's easier to celebrate where you've been. What a healthy place to be. And when you let go of the expectation of where you think you should be, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Are you content with what God is doing in you right now? Like today, right here? Is that enough for you? Honestly, is what God doing in your life or the personal growth that's happening right now, is that enough to satisfy you? Because if not, you're going to be facing disappointment. But right today, are you okay with like, this is where I'm at and this is where I'm growing and I'm willing just to take the next step? If you don't experience success, but you're just really solid in your family relationships and knowing what your next step is and just solid in your relationship with God, I believe you'll be able to weather the storms and just step by step get through each day and look back and be like, look how far I've come. Someone just reminded me that yesterday when I was frustrated about something. She's like, but look back and see where you've come. And I was like, you're so right. And it has just been such small, minuscule steps day by day. I want to encourage you that too, if you want to live slow and steady, you are going to need to put the blinders on and forget like the people zooming past you that look like, wow, they've got it all together. It's going to require some blinders and for you to stay in your lane. And the tortoise saw the hare flying by, and he also saw the hare sleeping on the side of the road, but he didn't choose to look at that and be like, oh, I got some time. He just kept going. He stayed in his lane and he won the race over and over. And also the peace that comes with slow and steady, I think that has to do with like letting some expectations go. But with peace comes integrity, and you have the integrity when you're not trying to like hustle and grind and like, I have to get there right now. There is a time for urgency, but there every day is the slow and the steady. You don't have to grasp and squeeze and try to make things look better than they should when you're just going slow and steady. You just are where you are and you're happy with that. And I do want to encourage you that it will build momentum and you will see success and you will change and you will look back and you'll have so much to be thankful for. Who you're becoming is more important than what you're actually doing. Who you're becoming. Do you believe that? Do your day-to-day actions show that? Okay, and then the last thing real quick is to be clear on your non-negotiables. So I just wanted to tell everyone that I am definitely a hot mess every once in a while. I have days where I am knocked off guard. And when I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do everything? I have days like that. Even though I've created a planner and I have an awesome system that I love, I get knocked off track. Everybody does. I just want to tell you because it's unavoidable sometimes. Life doesn't go as planned. It throws unexpected challenges to us. And no matter how much you plan and how clear you are on your priorities, you will get thrown off course sometimes. And I just want to let you know that it's going to happen, and it happens to everybody. Everybody. It doesn't mean you're a failure, and it doesn't mean you're a bad mom. It doesn't mean you're not meant for your work or your business. I just wanted to tell you that it happens to everybody, and we're going to learn how to get back on track. And the first thing is just to know your non-negotiables, to know the top priorities, because sometimes when you're knocked off course, you just got to either start over, start clean, or you pare things down to the bare minimum. There are seasons where you just have capacity for much less. And I want you to be so clear on your non-negotiables, because if you're not clear, when you get knocked off track, you have to then think through your non-negotiables. And when you are knocked off track and overwhelmed, how clearly are you thinking? Not that clearly. So right now, on a clear day, know your non-negotiables. What can go and what cannot go. Here's some examples. Some non-negotiables might be, I need one evening off a week. I just need our family to be home together one night a week or one day every single week. Having like the whole extended family over every Sunday. That might be something that is so life-giving to you. That is your non-negotiable. If everything falls apart, as long as you have that, you're good. A date night with your spouse. Story time with your kids every night. It could be just working out every day. That's your one thing that you know, like, this is going to help keep my mind clear. I got to have this one thing in my day. Taking a walk outside daily. If nature and being around creation, like, fills you up, make it a non-negotiable. Get yourself outside, because it will help prevent breakdowns, and it will help you get back on track faster. So what are your non-negotiables? What helps you get back on track? If everything else was like falling apart, what are the maybe 1, 2, or 3 things that's like, this gets into my schedule first, because it does prevent overwhelm. But when you do get knocked off track and you are overwhelmed, these are the things that are going to help move me back forward and bring me life. Reminder, we're not seeking perfection, and life is going to be hard sometimes, but we're seeking growth, not happiness. And tough times are a tool, a very sharp tool sometimes, but they come when you're ready to grow. That's a good thing. Do you see it as that? Tough times come when you're ready to grow. It's a signal you're ready for something next. You've been faithful with a little, you'll now be given more. So I just wanted to encourage you in the roles that you have and the gifts that you've been given, to see them as valuable and to see it as worth planning for. Tomorrow, we're going to get super practical with the actual strategies, but you won't do it if you don't see it as important. So today, I hope that you see that your home is important. Your home is worth planning for. Your work is worth planning for. Your strengths are worth investing in. And you are ready to grow if you are being stretched. Our homework today, I'm going to have you assess whether the time that you're spending, are they being spent on your non-negotiables? You might know off the top of your head, nope. But either way, I want you to go through this, and there's 2 pages. They're the exact same page, but because if you do have a role at work and at home, I like to do this with just kind of my home life and assessing what's important with my family, and then to go through it with my business. Like, am I spending time on the right activities? And so it's like a progression line, and how much time are you spending on certain activities? You're just going to write it out, and then you're going to write those same activities, but this time you're going to assess how important they are, and are like the most important things closer to the time you're spending more time on it, or are the less important things in that quadrant over there? And some questions to ask yourself. And then we have to continue tracking our time. I hope you're tracking every single moment, every single chin hair that you're plucking. I hope you wrote it down. Every cup of coffee that you're drinking, just write it down. And I'm excited for the insight and to follow up with you afterwards. And then there's just a reminder about tracking your time. And don't forget about the giveaway. Make sure you comment, and you're going to comment on what is the gift that is given to you that you need to be faithful with and responsible for right now. I want you to put that in today's comment in the Facebook group. All right, guys, I'm going to close this out, and I will see you tomorrow for our last and final day.